Hi, and welcome back to the Talk podcast. Today, we're going to talk about something most business owners feel, but they don't often measure, and that is authority. Authority is one of those things that people say they want. They say they want to be known, they say they want to be trusted, and they say they want to be the person people think of first. But here's the thing. Authority isn't just about visibility. It's about signals. Signals that tell the market that you're trusted, you're credible, and you're worth listening to. And three of the strongest authority signals that you can tap into are things like speaking gigs, PR, and referrals. So today we're going to look at how these three work, and more importantly, how you can measure them so that you know what's actually working for your business.
Welcome to the Talk podcast with ideas strategist Linda Reed-Enever. Talk is where we chat about ideas and inspiration you can use to market your business. Get ready for practical tips you can implement today with your host, Linda Reed-Enever.
Speaking is one of the fastest ways to establish authorities, and it's one of my favorite ways as well. When you're invited to speak on stage, a panel or a webinar or a workshop, the organizer is essentially saying to their audience, this person is worth listening to and they know their stuff. Now that's a powerful transfer of trust. But many business owners treat speaking as a nice opportunity rather than a measurable strategy. So how do you measure it? First, we look at the audience reach. How many people were in the room, or how many people attended the webinar, or how many people watched the replay. That gives us our reach. So we get to know how many people actually saw us in the first place. The second thing we need to track is the connection signals. Did people connect with you on LinkedIn or follow you on social media afterwards? Did they sign up to the email list or the freebie that you offered? Or did they download that resource or visit your website? Because tracking those things means that our speaking is actually engaged. I like to offer particular types of freebies that relate to a talk or an opportunity that I've got so that I can track it just that little bit further. And then the third thing when we're speaking is we've got to look at, did someone request a meeting? Did we get invited to speak somewhere else? Or did someone ask about working with you? Because that's an opportunity. And through those opportunities, we see authority compounding through speaking. One stage quite often will lead to another. One audience introduces you to the next one. It's about the one person knows 100 people thing. And over time, your authority grows because your expertise is being seen repeatedly in trusted environments. So if you want to build your audience, make sure that you are tapping into speaking. Now, PR works a little bit differently. It's borrowed authority, and that's when you appear in the media and you're borrowing the credibility of the publication, the podcast, or the platform that you're appearing on. If someone sees you quoted in an article, for example, they think it's awesome and they might reach out to you. Or featured in a magazine or interviewed in a podcast, their perception shifts. You move from someone talking about their work to someone who's recognized for their expertise by the publication or by the public. But again, PR is often treated as vanity rather than a strategy. So let's talk about how do we measure PR. We start again with that reach and exposure. How large is the audience of the publication or the podcast? But reach alone won't tell us the whole story. Next, we've got to look at things like the credibility signals. Did someone reference the article when they contacted you? Yep, we need to ask people, how did you find me? Did someone say, I saw you in XYZ interview? It's that real life moment. Or did clients mention the feature during conversations? Because they are the connections that tell us it worked. Then we look at some long-term assets. PR has a compounding effect because the media features becomes proof points. They live on your website, they can live on your bio, and they can strengthen your pitch, and they appear in those search engines when people go to search. One media mention can open up the door to the next one, and that's how PR authority builds over time. I've seen it happen with clients. We get them on one publication, they're on the next. And then the next powerhouse that we need to be looking at is referrals. Referrals are one of the strongest authority indicators in business because when someone refers to you, they're putting their own reputation on the line. It's why I'm particular on who I refer to, and I'm sure you are too, because they're essentially saying, I trust this person enough to recommend them to you. And that is powerful. Then we want to count the patterns. Where are our referrals coming from? Are they coming from past clients? Are they coming from partners? Are they coming from events we've spoken at? Or the media exposure that we've just done? Because that gives us an idea of what we should do more of. And then referral leads normally convert at a much higher rate than other leads. So we need to track how many referrals became conversations, how many became clients, and how many long-term relationships that we have. Referrals are also that sign that your authority is working, because people only refer when they feel confident in recommending you. And if someone's referring a lot to you, remember, thank you. It is such a big thing when it comes to referrals. Authority isn't just one thing, it's a system. And when you combine things like speaking, PR, referral together, something amazing happens. They reinforce each other. Speaking creates visibility, PR strengthens credibility, and referrals reinforce trust. And when those three things work together, your authority grows naturally, and quite often like you've just poured a bunch of fertilizer on it. You don't have to chase attention once you've got your authority. The market begins to recognize you, and that is a superpower. So if you've been working with these authority factors or you're wanting to dive into it, there's a couple of things you need to track. The number of speaking gigs you get per quarter, the audience reach that you got from those events, media features or interviews, and websites or inquiry visits following PR or speaking gig, the number of referrals that you receive for that month, the referral conversion rate, and any new opportunities generated from that speaking or media exposure that you've done. It doesn't need to be complicated, but you do need to track this stuff, because if you're going to employ it in your marketing, you need to start noticing the patterns, because authority is not something that's going to be built overnight. So those patterns are going to give you the signals that you make you keep going in wanting to build your authority. Authority is never about being the loudest voice. It's about being the trusted voice. Speaking gigs will help you show up in the way that people want to hear your ideas in the right forum. PR shows that others recognize your expertise, and referrals show that you have that all-important trust factor and the known trust factor. So make sure that these elements are more than marketing. They are reputation building, and reputation is one of the most valuable assets your business can have. Until next time, I'm Linda Reed-Enever, Ideas, Impact and Marketing Strategist, and I help you create impact by teaching you what I do.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Talk with Linda Reed-Enever. Make sure you subscribe via your favourite podcast app so you don't miss the next great episode. You can find more ideas and inspiration at enevergroup.com.au.